Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, the Cubs are above 500. They have swept the Athletics in Sacramento, an interesting series that was filled with offense, especially from the Cubs. Uh, if not for a disaster on Sunday from the bullpen, I think there'd be a lot of excitement for this team right now. But even with it, 5-4 after the first 9 games feels like a pretty solid place to be. We can talk about the bullpen, whether how the confidence in it. We could talk about the competition they're facing. I think there's a lot of storylines right now. I think the first one that pops up to me is you paid big via trade for a superstar, and 9 games into the season, you're getting a superstar in Kyle Tucker. The guy, I guess, I guess we know spring training doesn't mean anything for veterans. Maybe don't pay attention to that too much for position players, especially because this guy's a stud. And it's almost like I've forgotten what it's like to watch. Like, say Suzuki's a really good player, Ian Happ's a good player, but Kyle Tucker's a superstar. It's fun to watch him go about business.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be fascinating to see kind of the reception at Wrigley Field he'll get for the home opener and really throughout the season, because I think we're all like looking at this as this, huge test case of like how good is this guy going to be? Is there any chance the Cubs are going to keep him? Like every home run, like is his price escalating? But like this is the guy they absolutely needed. And I'm seeing a lot less Cam Smith on my timeline and stuff like that, right? Like that was the moment. And Cam Smith, I bet, will be a really good major league player for a long time. But what did this group need? What do we always talk about? The guy who hits a 3-run homer and gives your bullpen some breathing room. Now, it didn't work for you. I think was that getaway day in Arizona where he hits he hits the big 3-run homer. Story writes itself, and then what? The Diamondbacks put up all those runs and flip your script while you're trying to rush to Sky Harbor. But over the long haul, like this is the guy they needed, right? This is what we've been talking about for like years, and he has arrived.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, what was it? It's been 8 years since they traded for Jose Quintana, and leading up to that, we talked a lot about, just in general, people talked about what do the Cubs need? They need a young starter that can work at the front of the rotation that's under control for cheap. Like they've been talking about that for years, and ever since the big trade off in 2021, what have we been talking about? How do they find that superstar bat? How do they get it? They had to pay a lot for it in prospect cost and player cost. I don't think you can dwell on that. Look at the result. Look at how good this guy is. Look at how he changes the lineup. It's really impressive to watch him. And just it does change things. It really changes the way pitchers approach the lineup. I think it does make the players immediately surrounding him a little bit better, and it just deepens the lineup, right? Like you can debate whether it improves anyone. All it does is, I think Madden used to say it. Council kind of says it too. It lengthens the lineup out, and it makes things. It just makes it more difficult to go through guys. You can push guys down a spot, whatever it may be. Kyle Tucker is a superstar, and he's changing the way this offense looks. We'll see. It's 9 games in. I don't want to. I've been confident about this offense in general. I've felt like it was going to be a better year, and I think it will be still, and nothing that's happened has changed my mind. But it's 9 games. I'm not going to do a victory lap and said, see, I told you, because it doesn't matter. Like we need to see. They haven't played at Wrigley Field. It's supposed to be rainy and I don't know how windy, but it's not supposed to be great weather this weekend. Who knows how they do, right? Can they play in those conditions and still put up 6-7 runs, or can they just outpitch the competition? What do they do? We don't know yet. But the offense looks really good right now, and it's beyond Kyle Tucker, right? And part of the reason I felt that way is, like, you add Tucker, but I felt like Michael Busch would be better this year. And then you just can't be as bad at catcher and third base as they were to begin last season. Like those were awful starts. And it's not like Matt Shaw's like gotten off to this red hot start, but he's got like an OPS at like 650, and that was better than what the Cubs were putting up at third base last year around this time, or like even 2 months into the season. Miguel Amaya's been good. Carson Kelly's been awesome. He hit for the cycle. He hit for the cycle, a catcher.
A catcher cycle, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the offense looks good. I don't want to. I don't know if that's Sacramento. How good Oakland. The Athletics pitching is. I think that's a good offense, a solid team. But they beat up on them, and I think that's a good thing. You want to see that whether that Athletics team is good or not. That's what you wanted to see.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker and Counsell would probably roll their eyes or shake their head at something like this, but just sort of the narrative of the new player getting off to a good or bad start, like it'd be almost impossible for Kyle Tucker to get to like May 1st and have bad numbers now, right? Like when you like it just kind of carries you for a while. Like those numbers on the Wrigley Field board will look good for a while. And also he is a presence that helps some of these guys while they're struggling, right? It takes some of the load off Matt Shaw or Pete Crow Armstrong and just allows them, for PCA to play defense and for Matt Shaw to like learn how to survive in the big leagues. When you have a guy that can carry your offense, it's huge. And even like Seiya's been a very good offensive player. There's been some, he would acknowledge some rocky moments over the last couple of years, but like, if you have a guy who's just like a superstar and then Seiya sort of does this thing, all of a sudden, like everything just pops. I mean, that's how they got to win this year.
Yeah. The question probably early on that everyone has is this bullpen any good? Is this bullpen going to cause issues? Is it going to sink the team? Listen, it was ugly on Sunday. That's not what you want to see. There's not really excuses to be made for the performance. I think if you want to debate the usage of those guys, you could say maybe Colin Ray should have been out there if that's what you want to go with. Once it was a 6-2 game, maybe that's Colin Ray time. I don't know how long it takes for him to get warm. That's a question. The bullpen was limited that day, right? Craig Counsell used everyone that was available. That I think there were 4 relievers used in all, maybe 5. He used everyone that was available. Julian Merriweather was down because he had gotten warm twice in 2 different games over that weekend. Ryan Presley was down. Porter Hodge was down. It was an ugly situation. It was an ugly game. It didn't look good. Eli Morgan had looked great in 2 outings and then looks terrible, in that one. It didn't seem like anything, like they weren't missing any of the pitches that were meatballs, and that's a really good offense. It was game 4 of 7 straight after a weird buildup in spring training. So there are excuses you could make. I think fans don't want to hear excuses after the last 2 seasons, the way they began with the bullpen. So I understand that. And I think the biggest thing, and this has nothing to do with Sunday, people are jumping on Ryan Presley and just assuming that this guy's cooked. I don't know if he's as much of a disaster as some people seem to be suggesting. Like everyone has decided that this guy's cooked, right? After a couple outings. I don't know. I like his velocity seems like about where it's not dreadful. It's not dropping. And I think the biggest thing is like he's supposed to use his breaking balls more. Don't use that fastball as much. And he isn't. He's using the breaking balls more. I think he's going to be okay. I don't know if he's the closer. I don't know. Like Porter Hodge looks pretty nasty when he goes out there. but I don't think he's this like he's not Hector Neris, who just got DFA'd, by the way, by Atlanta. Um, I think he's a high leverage reliever still. But it's easy to jump down his throat because he has looked shaky at times. But it's 9 games into the season. If I'm gonna pump the brakes on the offense, I think it's only fair that we pump the brakes on any negativity as well. But I also get it's hard. Listen, we probably tried to pump the brakes on Hector Neris, and if we did, we were wrong, right? He was not good enough last year. I think it's a different situation with Ryan Presley.
Yeah, and it also seems like, there are times too where, like, yes, Hodge pitched the 8th, but he was going against the other team's best hitters, right? Like there is sort of a matchup element there where it's not like, oh man, you burned Porter Hodge against the bottom of the lineup. And I do think Council's more than given himself some flexibility here, but give Presley the space. I mean, he's been awesome in the postseason. Like, I feel like you just can't dismiss that, like on March 20, whatever that game was. Like, we hadn't even gotten into April yet. And I do think one takeaway here is just looking at how this season started in Tokyo. Like, the Dodgers are going to make a lot of teams look bad, right?
Yeah.
The Tigers, sort of the darlings for part of last October, roll in there, they get swept. I mean, the Braves are, sinking here,
right.
Normally one of the most stable franchises, right? Like since we've started following baseball, even as kids, right? The Braves are good, period, almost every year. And to see them, roll into Dodger Stadium and leave still winless on the season, like, didn't need to overreact to Tokyo, and let's just see how some of this plays out. But no doubt, like, being 5-4 coming into Wrigley Field is better than being, 2-7, 1-8. And I still think we have to remember, like, when we write our stories, you still have to think of, like, someone you'd, see at a bar, run to the grocery store, picking up your kids. Like, there's still people who are like, hey, the Cubs are playing. Like, are they good this year? Like, we can't be so, like, micro-focused on every single, like, bullpen thing, or like, oh, it's doomed. It's like, look, let this play out. And they're certainly, like, how this team is set up, they're going to give themselves a chance to be really good and play meaningful games all the way till the last regular season game at Wrigley Field this year.
Yeah, Shota Imanaga will start the opener, the Wrigley Field opener. He's looked good to start off the season.
Yeah,
I mean, his 7 innings. That Arizona team is good. They're like, we talk about the Dodgers. Arizona's really talented. That offense is obnoxious to face. Like, I think I said that a dozen times while we were in Arizona. Just pesky, really hard to strike out. A good team. When you look up and down the lineup, if you're not if you're only familiar with big names, you may not notice how good that team is.
Mm-hmm.
Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll are probably the biggest names. Eugenio Suarez, if you're a Cubs fan, you probably know who he is, right? He kills the Cubs, and he did it again. They're beating up on the Yankees now too. They're a good offense, and Shota pitched 7 strong against them. That this early in the season to do that, I was impressed. I've been curious to see how he'd do bouncing back after a brilliant rookie season. And 2 starts in, he's looked pretty good. He's walking more guys, but whatever. I have no idea if that's going to last. I doubt it does. I'm sure he locks in the command soon enough. One little thing, Jameson Taillon looked awful in his first start. Yeah. He looked pretty damn good yesterday against the Athletics. And I looked this up because I was kind of like, what is going on with all the swing and miss? He's throwing this new changeup that, Saris wrote about it at the Athletic, the kick change. Every year we got a new pitch that we got to talk about.
He asked me about that in spring training. Like, we sat next to each other at the Cleveland, is that Goodyear, the facility there? And he's
Yes.
like,
Yeah,
"Have you
yeah.
talked to time with the kick change?" I'm like, "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" I didn't I was
So
not,
what now?
I was not current on that, but definitely check out Eno's piece. Like, he does such a good job at like finding stuff out and getting players to talk about stuff in really, granular, interesting ways, but also explaining it to fans in a very easily digestible way. So definitely check that out. But it was kind of funny. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, they're leaving for Japan in 24 hours. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
He threw 7 of those changeups and got whiffs on 4 of them.
Okay.
And he got 19 whiffs in total. You know, the last time he's gotten 19 whiffs, 2021. You know, his career high in whiffs, 20. He got 19 whiffs. A guy that was really struggling with getting swing and miss last year. That's encouraging to me. I have no idea if the A's are going to be like this disaster strikeout team. Whatever it is, like, he's like, that's really good for him, and that's a really good sign after what he did last year. I think his velo is up a tick, maybe half a tick. Let's see, his sinker is averaging 93.3. That's almost a full mile per hour higher than last year, and it's four seamers 93, 0.7 higher than last year. That's great early on. Especially you usually gain velocity by May and June. My understanding is he's feeling really good. He made some slight tweaks in between starts. That was a really good start. I think that is encouraging. You have Shota Imanaga, Jameson Taillon. Look, Justin Steele, I don't know what's up with the home runs. I'd be surprised if that lasts. I was kind of impressed by him settling in and going like it. It looked like he was going to go like 3 innings, 3 or 4, right? And he ended up going, was it 6? Or was it 5 2/3?
I think he pitched into the 7th, if I remember correctly.
Or was it 6 2/3? It was 6 2/3.
I think so,
yeah. Okay. I mean, that overall, this is still my concern, right? The starting pitching. And maybe the first time through the rotation, it was looking a little shaky. Now, like, Matthew Boyd looked great against the Diamondbacks. Like Ben Brown has the stuff that this team is looking for from the starters. If your biggest concern is like Eli Morgan or something like that, I think you can survive. And this team could be pretty good. We'll see. This is not getting any easier. They play the undefeated Padres this weekend, so the tests continue, and we'll have a really good barometer of where this team is. Right? Like, are they? I guess we'll know if they're good. Right? If they're above 500 at the end of this month, we'll be like, wow, they just went through some of the best teams in baseball.
We went through that last April, though, Sahadev. Like, I wrote they should trade for Justin Verlander after they swept the Astros or whatever in April, and our buddy Chandler Rome at The Athletic and on the Foul Territory Network, was pretty much convinced that the Astros were about to collapse, that this was finally the year it would catch up to them, and they did, backslide a bit, but they certainly had a good charge to get back into the playoffs. So, definitely curious to see how it kind of looks at Wrigley, see what the crowd's like, what the environment's like. It should be a good time. Also, the fireworks display, wasn't that last year where Counsell joked his eyebrows were singed when they were running out of the dugout? They had these little tiny fireworks. So I want to see what the budget for fireworks was. Like, maybe Counsell, like, driving back and forth to Wisconsin, like, did he find like a fireworks place? Maybe that's something we could ask him this weekend. I'm sure he would give us a very droll response back. But
he should be in a good mood, right? 3-game winning streak. I totally forgot about the fireworks display. I hope they have a better way to open up the slate at Wrigley. One thing I don't doubt, like, the fans will show up, right? It's supposed to be a crappy day tomorrow. Is it supposed to be rainy? Last I checked, it was supposed to be.
Yeah, last I
later.
checked, it was. It has kind of flip flop, but I think Friday and Saturday don't look great. But you can tell, like when the Cubs are back, definitely people treat it as a sort of unofficial holiday, a tradition. And for as cynical as we can be in our jobs, like it is still awesome to just walk in there and just see it. It is amazing how it has held up over the years. And so, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. That's one of the things I try and remind myself every year. It's like, oh yeah, this is where I work every day. I gotta try and remind myself as I'm like cursing whatever it is that we're dealing with that day, or digging into some nonsense story that's frustrating us, or the team is frustrating us. It's like, really, we got to write big picture because they're out of it already at this point in the season. All right, so 5-4 Cubs. We'll have more this week. We'll have more on the home opener. We'll have some talk on some other things, and then next week we'll be in the middle of the Wrigley slate and deeper into April, and more and more information on how this team is doing. All right, thanks so much for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks. Take care.